Brings the time to just coming up to 20 minutes now to 8 o'clock. Hopeless, frozen, disappointed. That's how some young asylum seekers and refugees in Northern Ireland over the age of 15 feel. And that's due to their experiences with limited access to education and specialised support. A group of them have been talking to the BBC about this issue. Some other parts of the UK have specific educational programmes designed for this group. They're over the age of compulsory education, but obviously still have a desire to access learning. And campaigners say that Northern Ireland needs to follow suit with that. Our reporter Eve Rosato has been speaking to three young asylum seekers living in Belfast.
When you came here, you think that you're gonna, maybe change your life or, go to dreams, directly. But you feel like there's something frozen you from do that.
That's Nafisa. She travelled here from Sudan with her two sisters. Brutal fighting broke out there between two rival military factions in April. They wanted to come here because they wanted to feel safe, and they all hoped to throw themselves into education. But Nafisa has found that's not been possible.
I feel the system, it's very slow, to go to college or do other stuff. So it's very, very slow to do that. So, maybe wasting, more years of your age to reach what you want.
Nafisa's older sister, Afnan, has big dreams.
I would love to be a news reader or a presenter.
She had just finished school when she left home.
I finished my high school. I was about to go to university. But when I came here, I was struggling, and especially my mental health, because it was like moving from my country to other country, and having no friends. And I was very looking forward to go to school or university, to meet new people and have a good community around me. But it was very hard for me to do that, and I was waiting for a whole year to just get to Belfast Met. So I was very struggling, and I was just I think being just at home and trying to find something to do, it's very hard. And I was always trying to volunteer or do anything.
There are around 3,000 asylum seekers in Northern Ireland right now. It's harder to establish what ages those people are, but for many of them, English classes will be the only kind of education available. And for those, there can be long waiting lists. Osama, who spoke to me through a translator, seemed like a bright young man. He would have liked to do our interview in English, he told me, but he hasn't been able to access as much language help as he'd hoped.
Sadly, since I came here, I don't find any chance for education. I want to study English for my career, for my future. After I get enough English and I get the chance to apply for university, I want to study accounting or IT. So far, it has been so disappointing. Arriving here at my age, I have had no chance. I came here hopeful, but everyone will tell you that there is no chance. The hopes and dreams of refugees and asylum seekers are big. People come here to get education, to get jobs, and be part of the community.
Afnan, who wants a career in media, has been spending a lot of her free time online, learning English any way she can, and it shows. Despite the barriers there might be for her, she does want to give back to this place she now calls home.
We want to continue our education, complete our education, because we want to support our countries, but even here, we want to support this country. They give us a lot. So I think it's even not we're just thinking about our countries. No, we think even about Belfast and how they listen to us, how they trying to help us and support us. So I think Belfast is a part of me now.
Well, that was Eve Rosato reporting. Listening to that is Morgan Mattingly, who's a researcher at Queen's University with expertise in the education of refugees. She's also a volunteer teacher. And also the Alliance MLA for South Belfast, Kate Nicholl, who works with refugee families here and has raised this issue with some Stormont departments. Morgan, if I can start with you, when you listen to that, does it kind of chime with what your experience is when you go and meet many of these young people who want to find these opportunities, but for whatever reason can't manage it.
Absolutely. The young people that I've met here in Belfast from refugee and asylum seeker backgrounds are so eager to learn. They're so eager for the opportunity to contribute to society, to be part of Belfast, be part of Northern Ireland. And yet they're being held back by a lack of education opportunities and by a lack of support, kind of.
So this gap, sort of from 15 to 18, 15 to 20, what has happened to allow this gap to open up?
So basically, the statutory limits of education here in Northern Ireland are that you are only guaranteed education until the end of the year you're 16. That isn't always true for refugees and asylum seekers children, because they are they come from a different education background. You can't necessarily guarantee that they have the same education experience, that they have the language skills necessary to sit in on those classrooms. It's up to individual schools to accept people who are 15, 16, whether or not they can come in. And the programs beyond that are severely limited here in Northern Ireland. Many of them are training programs for work. And if you're an asylum seeker, you're not allowed to work. So many of those young people who could potentially do training for work aren't able to do that because there's that lack of ability.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kate, if someone comes to you in that age bracket with those particular difficulties that Morgan has outlined, what can you say to them? What is available to them?
Well, it's very difficult, and it does happen. When I was Lord Mayor of Belfast, it was actually when I first became aware of this issue. A young woman who was desperate to become a doctor, who had arrived from Syria, was really campaigning to have access to education, and you're really limited. I contacted the department. I spoke to Belfast Met and just spoke individually to different organisations and charities who can help. And that really is what's happening at the moment. The children young people who are falling through the gap are relying on the kindness of charities and organisations. People like Annika, Unison have been putting on training. That it's piecemeal, but it's not a solution. And as Morgan said, these young people are desperate to learn, desperate to better their lives, and we're denying them the opportunity to do that.
I mean, the department has said to us that it works in conjunction with Education Authority's Intercultural Education Service, the IES, to secure school places for all children arriving in Northern Ireland seeking asylum or as refugees. They say the department's aware that those arriving in the 15-plus age group may only attend compulsory education for a short period of time until the end of Year 12, and the department is working in conjunction to explore potential pathways into further education. It says 15 children from the asylum-seeking community arrived in Northern Ireland in 2022-23. During Year 12, 10 secured school places. The 5 remaining children arrived late in the academic year and were supported in accessing Extern's Moving Forward, Moving On project. Is that good enough for you, Kate?
No, and the Education Authority, their cultural team are doing fantastic work, but we're aware of the budget restraints and the pressure that they're under. No, it's not good enough, and that I resent those statistics being put in that response because it minimises actually the magnitude of the problem and the number of people that we're working with. We find that a number of young people,
but the
yes,
stats
maybe
are
50.
the stats are the stats, though. I mean, that's the numbers that they have.
Yes, that's the number for last year, but that's just 15-year-olds. We've found that the 16, 17, 18-year-olds, there are a number of young people who are unable to access education. The language is a part of it, but also the kind of the quality of the courses that they're then doing. If they can't access secondary school, then the only courses really open to them are ones that are for adults and aren't culturally appropriate. And I want to give one example. There's a young guy who I met. He's 17, desperate to be an engineer, such a bright, lovely kid, so ambitious. and he has younger siblings, and every day his younger siblings go to school and he just spends all day sitting in a hotel room. There have been an increase in access to support for online programs that kids can kind of better their English from their rooms, but it's not the same. And as was highlighted in Eve's package, the mental health implications of all of this are significant. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And ultimately, I hate to have to bring this back all the time, but it's the reality. We have no executive. We have no ministers. There is serious governance issues around how we handle asylum seeker issues. It sits within TEO, and we need to get back to work to deal with it.
I want to give Morgan then the last word on this. I mean, do we feel by comparison to what happens elsewhere, Morgan?
Oh, absolutely. The statistics and the support that's available in other places, even in the UK, is completely different. There's bridging programs that enable young people to access higher education. There's full-time education options and full-time English and math and science and other curriculum classes available in Scotland and also in other parts of the UK. And Northern Ireland hasn't offered these same options to these young people who just want the chance to learn, just want the chance to be part of Northern Ireland.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks for coming in to see us. That's Morgan Mattingly, researcher at Queen's University with expertise in the education of refugees, and also the Alliance MLA for South Belfast, Kate Nicholl.
And Sarah